headlines tonight are a study in betrayal and boundaries. We're tracking leaders who break their promises to cling to power, the staggering price of global inequality, and a deadly silent war in Sudan. This story shows the steep cost of power and the human urgency behind the numbers. This is the African News Update on top Accolade News. The headlines. Doumbouya enters Guinea's presidential race. U.S. lawmakers slam Tanzania election as fraudulent. Sudan's Hemedti emerges as paramilitary power. G20 taskforce urges global panel to confront rising inequality. We start where tanks rode in. Guinea's junta leader Mamady Doumbouya has formally entered December 28th presidential race, defying his 2021 vow not to run when he seized power in a coup. His candidacy, enabled by a junta-drafted constitution approved in September, has sparked outrage among opposition groups excluded from the polls. Critics accuse him of stifling dissent and muzzling the press, warning the vote could entrench military rule under democratic disguise. A general's promise, it seems, was only as strong as his grip on power. From one rigged race to another, thousands of miles east, U.S. Senator Jean Shaheen has condemned the re-election of Tanzanian President Samia Suluhu Hassan as fraudulent, citing threats to citizen and tourist safety during the vote. The ruling party claimed 98% victory, while opposition parties reported over 700 deaths in post-election protests and accused authorities of covering up the killings. International observers, including the EU and Amnesty International, expressed concern over the electoral process. When democracy dies in the ballot box, the world cannot afford silence. That struggle for power often breeds violence, and nowhere is that more tragically clear than in the relentless conflict in Sudan. Mohamed Hamdan Dagolo, known as Hemedti, has solidified his dominance in Sudan through his rapid support forces capturing El Fasher and controlling nearly all territory west of the Nile. Rising from humble camel trading beginnings, he transformed former Janjaweed militias into a modern paramilitary and commercial empire, while forging alliances with foreign powers including UAE and Russia's Wagner Group. Despite past promises of reform, he has overseen atrocities against civilians, contributing to a conflict the UN estimates has killed 15,000 and displaced millions. In Sudan, power now wears the uniform of paramilitary, and Hemedti is unchallenged general. Now let's switch from military conflict to a fairness emergency threatening global economic stability. A G20 task force led by South African President Cyril Ramaphosa has called for the creation of a global body to combat inequality, warning that extreme wealth gaps threaten democracy and economic stability. The committee's reports found out that the richest 1% captured 41% of all new wealth since 2000, while the poorest half gained just 1%. The proposed panel, modeled on the IPCC, would monitor global inequality and advise governments. The world has faced its climate emergency. Now it must face its fairness emergency. You're watching the African News Update on top Accolade News. Do stay with us. Still to come. Thanks for staying with us. In Nigeria's oil sector, the state-owned giant is finally attempting to earn it. Nigeria's state-owned oil giant NNPC is ramping up transparency as it readies for a long-delayed initial public offering mandated by the 2021 Petroleum Industry Act, CEO Bayo Ojulari said in Abu Dhabi. Since May, the firm has been publishing monthly performance reports and is also seeking to raise its stakes in the Dangote refinery to 20% while pursuing partners to revive idle refineries. For NNPC, the road to an IPO runs through the refinery and the truth. Meanwhile, in East Africa, Kenya's government is counting its coins and calling the IMF. Kenya's Finance Minister John Mbadi said Nairobi will hold follow-up talks with the IMF to secure a new program after its $3.6 billion deal expired earlier this year.
Kenya is hoping the latest round of talks with the Washington lender will help unlock access to the stalled extended fund facility.
The discussion centered on whether revenues securitized for infrastructure financing should count as new debt, a point of contention with the lender. Mbadi expressed confidence in reaching an agreement as analysts warn Kenya needs IMF backing to stabilize repayments. For Kenya, every shilling now comes with strings and scrutiny. Nigeria's rap scene is in uproar as one of its biggest stars speaks out. Nigerian rapper Odumodu Black has addressed weeks of controversy surrounding his feud with Black Bones, denying calls for violence and calling the dispute a deeply personal one, twisted for clout. In a lengthy statement, he accused industry figures of silence and hypocrisy, saying he acted to protect someone close to him. The feud, once lyrical, has spiraled into one of Nigeria's biggest rap rifts, dividing fans and artists alike. Reducing a person's pain to entertainment is not art, it's cruelty, he declared, closing the chapter with a tone of weary resolve. And finally tonight, a farewell that unites a continent. The Ghana Football Association has announced plans for a testimonial match celebrating Asamoah Gyan, the nation's all-time top scorer and former Black Stars captain. The event will unite past teammates, global stars and fans to honor Gyan's two-decade career and produce 51 goals in 109 caps, including unforgettable World Cup heroics. For Ghana, this is a salute to a man who made the world sing. Gyan scores again. From the broken promises of a general to the staggering wealth gap exposed by a global task force, tonight's headlines remind us that the chapter of a society is revealed in the distance between its declared ideals and its actual reality. I am Ojarumi Okocha, and this is the African News Update on Top Accolade News, keeping you connected to the pulse of the continent.